A cold breath runs through Port Charles when Willow stumbles into a nightmare nobody predicted, her name tangled in whispers. Facts blurring like rain on glass. She tries to speak, yet silence presses harder each day. Truth bends under weight of suspicion. Shadows stretch longer around her even as dawn breaks. Some stories refuse to let go. Home should help Drew heal. Having lived through so much, the idea is straightforward. Move him from the cold monitored corridors of the hospital to a calmer place, somewhere familiar with a trusted face nearby. Willow becomes that person. Without hesitation, she opens her doors, bringing him under her roof, promising others she will manage what comes next. A first glance makes it seem honorable, maybe even kind of courageous. Yet right after Drew steps into Willow's place, something tight fills the room, never really going away. A chair waits by the wall, close enough to reach. Bedsheets pulled, taut bottles arranged just so, everything set before he even walks through the door. Still, something feels thin, ready to snap under quiet words. Her grin does not touch her eyes, sentences clip short at the ends. Instructions come fast, one after another, as if rules might replace care. He hears the stiffness behind each reminder about food, rest, medicine. Not kindness, more like duty carved into stone. Pain hums beneath his skin, strength gone, yet asking for softer hands seems worse than silence. Pride keeps him still even when comfort feels miles away. Time drags, each hour folding into the next, until Willow's promise of care begins to twist. Not a slap, not a shout. Her harm hides in tiny gaps between actions. Water arrives late, just past the point where thirst becomes ache. Over dinner, during silence, she repeats how heavy he feels on their lives now. Words meant to connect die before they land. Her replies come like practiced lines from someone else's script. Sharpness sits beneath every pause. Midnight turns the house into a sealed room heat, building slow. Up there, Willow paces, soft thuds travel down through the old wood. Drew stays flat on his back, eyes stuck to shadows stretching across the ceiling. A single footstep lands, then silence weighs heavier than before. She appears at last, stepping in without knocking. Words pass between them short and cold, each one landing sharp. Her hands fix his bedding like she's correcting an error, not helping. Light cuts on, sudden blinding him for a second. Then come the questions, tight named. Was every pill swallowed at the right time? Did he follow the rules about walking? Or did he skip again? Behind every line hangs the same quiet blame. Whatever breaks next, you broke it first. Sometimes Drew resists. A heated argument unfolds, past midnight, voices low but sharp. He says straight out, "If you despise me so deeply, why not give me to another home?" Willow stiffens, breath catching. Composure slipping just once. She fires back, she never walked away, she bears the weight each night. Her days frozen in place, and he dares challenge how she copes. Silence follows, thick and sour, clinging like smoke after flame. Facing the wall, now he stays behind where shadows stretch across the floor. Pain runs through his limbs while thoughts twist toward bitterness, memories sour without warning. Quiet settles, not soft but thick like breath held too long, making words unspoken weigh more than shouts ever could. Each morning brings heavier silence between them. Not quite anger, though it wears that mask well. Her words start cutting sooner than they used to, her hands moving like clockwork without warmth. Instead of reaching out when he fumbles getting up, she waits. An extra beat, then another, so the air fills with his quiet struggle. Requests fall awkwardly, now water a sweater, turning on the light, and each one arrives wrapped in her sharp breath loud enough to sting. Killing. No. But reminding always. The tightness of his days presses closer, shaped by what she withholds, not what she does. That night arrives like a quiet shift in the air. Everything alters without warning. Stillness gives way to something different. The world moves on a new track after that point. A hush falls across the room just after the plates are cleared, silence stretching where voices once clashed. Though neither speaks much now, tension still hums beneath their quiet, held at bay only by sheer tiredness. Without looking up, Willow presses fingers to Drew's wrist, counts his pulse like it means nothing, then places pills on the edge of the tray. Sleep is suggested, not forced, so he obeys without protest. His body gives in slowly, breath hitching between wakefulness and something closer to surrender. Pain paints everything fuzzy. Even time feels thick, dragging. The click of the bedside lamp cuts the last thread of contact shadows, swallowing the space between them. She moves down the hall, barefoot spine, stiff as if pulled upright by strings, expression lost somewhere beyond what light remains. Midnight passes without a sound breaking the stillness. The ticking of the wall clock cuts through the hush steady and alone. Light creeps into the edges of the windows, faint at first. Inside minutes stretch like they have stopped meaning anything. No voice from Drew disturbs the quiet. Far off, nobody comes near. His breath moves slow, a fragile rhythm in the quiet, life clinging without witness, silent under shadow. Faint light seeps through the window when Willow jerks awake. Stillness holds her for seconds before thoughts of what waits below pull her back. Sharp words from hours earlier sting fresh, though she shoves them aside without pause. Her duty stays no matter who says what. A robe lands on shoulders as feet move fast toward stair edges, each step counted quietly. In silence, inside her skull, phrases form, flat ones, safe ones, that might just stop sparks till evening. Softly, she says his name while moving toward the room. Silence comes back instead of a reply. Her steps grow slower now. Light from the window stretches over the floor, touching the edge of the bed, showing Drew just as he was when she walked away. Yet it feels off, too motionless, too hushed, like a breath held too long. Then suddenly, the space around her shifts. Drew, the word breaks as she moves nearer. A hand stretches out, touches his shoulder, then jolts it lightly. No response. Near enough now, she notices how white his skin looks, how still his features lie. Breath catches, sudden sharp like falling. Her hand reaches searching along his arm, fingertips pressing into skin. Stillness answers, no beat beneath, not even a faint rhythm, not a shift in chest. Cold settles where heat should be. Frozen in place, she sees it. Drew has already vanished. Fast thoughts spin inside her head. Not once did she take a life. Never slipped poison into his drink, never pressed a pillow to his face, never messed with the pills he relied on. Truth moves without regard for what she meant. In her house now lies someone who needed help. Breathing stopped, body still after she walked away just hours before. A weight presses deep in her ribs when guilt rolls in mixed with fear and something sharper. Harsh things said earlier echo louder than before. Silence where kindness should have been sits heavily too. What he felt, the loneliness she helped build, is suddenly clear. None of those actions brought this moment on yet. Each one now carries its own quiet blame. Shaking takes hold the moment her fingers close around the phone. Not a second passes before she moves. Help comes through a call, words pushed out steady despite the fear. Soon enough, stillness gives way to motion inside the home. Footsteps echo on pavement, slow yet purposeful as the paramedics appear. One kneels, fingers pressing neck, skin, eyes scanning for breath that never comes. The other watches a wrist clock silent, then nods once. Willow stays still, knowing before they speak. A name leaves their lips, Drew, spoken flat like reading from paper. Nothing follows. No alarms sound. Just zippers, closing gear bags. A silence settles first. When someone dies alone behind closed doors with layers tangled in their past, rules require deeper attention. Officials must be told, so the message moves through channels until it reaches Detective Dante Falconeri. He arrives at Willow's house without warning ID shown, face unreadable. Inside, Drew remains still beneath sheets, machines humming faintly nearby. Smell of antiseptic lingers. Unspoken words hang like dust in corners. Out of nowhere, Dante asks quiet questions, each one sharp. The moment Willow last saw Drew breathing comes up first. Then, what pills he took every day slips into the talk. Someone entering the house after dark gets mentioned too. Whether words were exchanged tight and loud follows close behind. His mood, Linkley noticed if it dipped, lands at the end. Breathing. That's what he was when Willow walked out. Her words stumble forward, each one gripping hard to the fact she didn't do it. Tension filled the room, sure. Anger, too. Words flew sharp and stuck now in her throat. Yet, still upon leaving his chest rose. Fell? Not peaceful. More like worn down, drained. But moving. Life there, even if barely. She holds on tight to that detail, repeating it under pressure, voice fraying at the edges. From where Dante stands, the scene tells its own story, through small things, pills lined up like soldiers, a glass half empty, how Drew lies stiff across the bed, his mouth caught mid-thought. Not a mark on him, Furniture untouched. Nothing broken. Still, it sits wrong. Anyone with so many grudges trailing behind them, a history full of sparks living on thin ice. Such people do not slip away quietly. Behind all this might be the one hand expected to hold him steady. The same hand, fed by quiet anger building pressure beneath silence. Few hours pass before news slips out about Drew being gone. That kind of thing always spreads fast in Port Charles. The front door bursts open as Scout, his little girl, stumbles inside, already trembling, eyes red, though she hasn't caught the full truth yet. Life had already pushed her close to breaking. Now, here she stands, breathless heart racing ahead of comprehension. It started with words. Someone said he was injured, that things weren't right. She heard it quietly, stood still, took a breath. Then came the part about courage, how she'd need plenty of it now. Yet when the door opened, none of those warnings helped at all. A shape under cloth stops, Scout, cold. Gurneys creak, voices hush. Officers trade quiet words while Dante speaks low, almost humming. Reality cracks open. Her breath snags deep in her chest, sharp as glass. That still form him. Not sleeping. Never moving. Sound rips upward from her core before she even means to move. Legs jerk forward, uneven, chasing something already gone. Out of habit, Willow steps forward, reaching not to stop, but to steady, maybe mend. Scout, hold. Her voice wavers mid-syllable. Yet Scout won't listen. Pain wears the mask of rage here. Shoulders tense, she pushes by cheeks, wet sound ripping free like something caged too long, finally snapping loose. You killed him. You killed my dad. A sharp charge cuts the room quiet. Turning, Dante lets his gaze sharpen thoughts already shifting under the weight of the words. Back stiffens Willow's shock, flashing across her face like a slap. Her hand stretches towards Scout once more, insisting she found him this way unconscious, not caused by her hands. Never meant for any of it to unfold. So, to Scout though the truth feels raw and straight, his dad stepped into Willow's home breathing full of trust. Now lies still on her mattress. Out of nowhere, Scout's voice cracks the air, piling one raw truth on top. Because she won't stop talking, repeating how Willow resented Drew, how it wasn't hidden, how his presence always stirred something uneasy. Though her words shake, they cut deep. Had he gone elsewhere? Had another taken charge? Maybe breath would still move through him. Without warning, she grabs hold of Dante, pleading not just for trust but movement. Any sign this loss won't vanish without weight. Down on one knee, Dante speaks soft yet firm to Scout, vowing he'll uncover the truth, review each piece carefully, ensure her father's passing isn't brushed aside. Yet inside, he feels the coming tangle, how complicated this path will turn. A short distance off, Willow stays still, skin drained of color, gaze swollen, fingers locked as if stitching her body shut. Blame, duty, purpose. They're already smudging into one another, though the crowd hasn't started picking loyalties. Here sits a silence filled with separate meanings. For Willow, Drew's end arrives like thunder after clear skies, unexpected, unearned by her hand. Yet bound to her through the weight of last words, left harsh. Scout feels it differently. A wound carved deep, seeing her dad taken by someone trusted to stand guard. What puzzles most lives inside Dante's thoughts, facts scattered like broken glass, each piece reflecting something others refuse to see. When they carry Drew out at last, the room seemed wider, yet somehow more dense. Staring blankly, Willow replays his final evening beneath these ceilings, each sharp reply, each gesture left ungiven, pressing against her. Sinking onto the floor, Scout weeps without sound, gripping the belief that blame has to land somewhere, and inside her thoughts, it settles on Willow. Caught in the space between them, Dante does not only wear a badge, he carries the weight of sorting truth from gossip, grief from guilt, and actions too deep to undo. Dead. That is what they say about Drew Kane. Yet in Port Charles, clear lines blur fast. Someone meant to protect him might have pushed him toward pain. His daughter hoped for reunion, now suspects loss came from trust misplaced. Truth hides behind layers, even for a cop used to sorrow. Complicated, yes, but not surprising here.